Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? I hope you're well. I am fine. Um, I know I have a different title today, but I wanted to talk about that. All right, just a second. All right. So let's go Super Bowl. Then we'll go into gold. Then we've been watching the Roman Empire on Netflix. And we're going to analyze the differences and the similarities. What the hell is going on here? As we know, it's very similar. All right. Let's look at the line. Do we got a change? We have. No, we don't. Kansas City won in 48 and a half, which is what we've had. There is a 1.5 on FanDuel. I remember the old days when you'd go to Caesar's Palace and the MGM and these other, not MGM, but Caesars and Venetian and William Hill. And now it's like all they give you is these bullshit Bet 365s. There's a Caesar sports book, and then Bet MGM and a FanDuel. I don't like that the NFL has sponsors with, we're at Caesar Sports Superdome in New Orleans. What the fuck is that? You want us to believe the game's not fixed, and then you have it sponsored by a casino. Sorry about that. All right. Well, you know me. I don't eat till 11:30. So if we break the game down and we go by what I learned from Rome, the better the general, the better your chances. I was just watching. There's 3 segments on Netflix. One was Commodus, but it was Marcus Aurelius' son, which doesn't make any sense because you would have thought he'd have been Stoic. And it's not anything like Gladiator. That was just bullshit. Then it was Julius Caesar. And it was very, very interesting. And then I'm on Caligula, but I just started it. So we'll talk. Julius Caesar was a brilliant general, and he cared about the empire. And where he gets misled is that he goes to Egypt to get away, and Rome starts falling apart because the Senate does nothing. So he says, well, shit, they need me. They can't survive without me, so I'm going to be a dictator instead of just the elected, what do they call it? Council. So the councils were the presidents, and there were supposed to be 2 councils, one each month. And so he sits there and he goes, well, shit, I wasn't here and it fell apart. And then I came back and, I fixed it. But you know what? If I'm not here, we're in trouble. So that's why he said, I'm going to be the dictator here. But for good reasons, not like a Hitler. I won't hurt anybody. I'm going to feed them and take care of them. And he was betrayed by the Senate. And then that basically ended the Roman republic, and then it turned it into an empire where you had a emperor who led for his life, where the way the republic was, you had councils, and they would be, you know, they would be switched, and the Senate would help. So there was like power, so one man couldn't be too powerful. But Caesar was not corrupt. He fixed everything. So very bad. The Senate, just like now, they're really corrupt. And they're probably looking at ways to take Trump down because he's too powerful, but he's doing it out of a good reason. Trump, like Julius Caesar, is basically trying to fix everything, right? Because there was an idiot before him who basically ruined. So basically, like Rome, where it's all fucked, and then he fixes everything, and that's what Trump is. And it would be Trump being a dictator, but a good dictator. Like, look, I see what happened without me, and now you've got me, but I'm going to help you. So it's not always a bad thing to have. They're not all Hitlers and Stalins. There are good leaders, which goes into my passage. But let me finish with the football. So we have 1 in 48.5. Basically, it's very hard to bet against Mahomes in this situation. It doesn't matter if it's Kelsey, or as we talked yesterday, the other receivers. He's the man. He knows when to give the ball. They had enough running with Pacheco and Hunt, and they got a very good defense. So they check all the boxes. The first is, do we have a quarterback? Check. Do we have a defense? Check. Do we have a balanced offense? Yes, we can run and pass. Check. How's our head coach? He's adequate. I'm not going to say Andy Reid's a great head coach, just like I didn't think Bill Belichick was a great head coach. Vince Lombardi, great head coach. Bill Walsh, great head coach. Bill Parcells, great head coach. Joe Gibbs, great head coach. Chuck Noll, great head coach. I'm not putting Andy Reid in that class because all the other ones built the team. Chuck Noll comes in, they haven't even won 5 games. Vince Lombardi, they're 3-8 the year before, and he builds the team and he creates the team and he wins with the team and he molds it where this is the problem, right? Andy Reid, what did he do? He didn't do anything. He had Donovan and McNabb, couldn't win anything. Yeah, he gets to the championship games, but he lost them all in a very weak league. Then he comes to KC, and he doesn't do anything with Alex Smith. And then mistakenly, they draft Mahomes because he wasn't – they didn't draft him with their first pick, and then he's still there. It's like Tom Brady. They take him, but they're not sure. And then he doesn't even play him the first year. And then all of a sudden he plays him and he's better than expected. So he missed valuing Mahomes. He missed playing Mahomes. They could have won the Super Bowl before the first year if they would have been. It's like Penix. They totally missed Penix. The Atlanta coach should be fired. You have a guy like Penix and you're sitting with Kirk Cousins. And then Kirk Cousins is a crybaby saying, well, I was injured. Bullshit, Cousins. You suck. If you didn't look injured, you could throw the ball. So if you couldn't throw the ball, you shouldn't have been playing. You shouldn't lie to your coach then and saying, yeah, I'm okay. And then you lose every game. Then they had Penix. So if they're a really good coach, they would have spotted Penix. It's like Bill Walsh. He had Steve DeBerg, but he went with Joe Montana. And he understood he was good. Bill Belichick did not do that. He stayed with Drew Bledsoe or whoever the quarterback was and didn't go to Brady. He went to Brady because of the injury. So he didn't know what he was doing. He has no sight he can't understand. So that's what I kind of I don't think Andy Reid's all that good. Yeah, he wins, but he doesn't win. It was Michael Jordan won, not Phil Jackson, and Kobe Bryant and Shaq won, and Magic won, and Larry Bird won. Boston didn't have a coach. They just threw, Chris Ford out there or whatever. They didn't win because of the coach. They won because of Larry Bird. They won because of Magic Johnson and Kareem. It's the players that win. But if you have a Bill Parcells, he's smart enough to see Lawrence Taylor, and they won despite Phil Simms, who sucked. But Bill Walsh is smart enough to see Montana was the better quarterback, and he played him second year. Chuck Noll, he didn't trust Bradshaw, and I don't blame him, and he went to Gilliam, and he sucked. So he had to go back to Bradshaw, who sucked, but that's what you did. Bradshaw cost them the Miami game when they after the Immaculate Reception. Bradshaw cost them the Miami game, and then there was another playoff game, the 76 game. So the Steelers won 2 in a row. Franco Harris is injured, and then what do you got? Bradshaw, and Bradshaw throws 4 or 5 interceptions and loses the game. A game they easily could have won if Bradshaw would have mixed it up. And, it was hard because you didn't have Franco Harris. But he had Lynn Swann and Stallworth. But he couldn't win because of the turnovers. You took the defense out of it. It should have been run and punt and let the defense win the game for you. That's the only way they could have beat the Raiders that year. And not Bradshaw's interceptions. Again, but we'll give the coaching, we'll give Bradshaw 0 for that, but we'll give Chuck Noll credit for not just playing Bradshaw, for saying, hey, let's see how Gilliam is. Let me take a look at my players to see who the best ones are. Those are the good coaches. So, again, not an Andy Reid fan. It's more Mahomes. Mahomes is winning these games. Like Brady won the games. It wasn't Belichick. And you can see with Belichick, once he didn't have Brady, he didn't even make the playoffs. He was terrible. If he was all that good, he would have still made the playoffs with any quarterback. I hear people knocking Belichick because he's like in his 70s and he's dating a 25-year-old. Why does this bother people? Is he happy? He should be ecstatic to get a 25-year-old. But what's wrong with that? Why does age matter? It's the mindset. Are you nice to her? Do you love the girl? Does she love you? I'm sure she could find a 25-year-old man. Look at Alyssa. She was with a guy her age, and it didn't work. It's terrible. So I don't know where the age is a big factor. It's how you're treated. Me and Daria, I mean, she's in her 30s, but we love each other, which is the point, right? That's the key to it, not the whole age thing. I think people that look at age are just fucking losers. I mean, the guy who said it, one of the radio idiots, and he basically, he shouldn't be dating a girl so young, and not giving any credit to the girl. The girl knows what she's doing. So you're assuming the girl's a moron? Or she's just with Belichick because he's a loser head coach? I don't know. I don't, give both people credit, right? He wouldn't be with her if he didn't like her. He seems like a real strange space case, Belichick. And then the girl, give her credit for feeling safe with the guy. Who knows? Who knows what? I mean, they have bad family and bad upbringing, and they're with somebody who they can relax with, who's nice to them. I don't really get the problem, except for the people judging because of the age. Those are the people with the problems. It's all about people being happy together and taking care of each other. Why does age enter into this? I don't know. Anyway, so you know me, I'm a little hungry with this. So we get back to football, and basically you have Mahomes, who is it's like playing Larry Bird. How are you going to beat him? Or you're playing Jordan. You're just the end of the day, he's going to win the games, right? And that's just what happened. Same thing with Isaiah. Same thing with Magic and Kareem. How are you going to beat him? You're not. It doesn't matter what the coach, as long as the coach doesn't take him out of the game. So as long as Mahomes is playing, they're going to win. Philly, it doesn't matter what they do. Mahomes will figure it out. That's why he's Mahomes. That's why he's the best. So when we see a point spread of 1, we analyze the game and we go, well, Barkley's good. Okay, he's going to help. And then um, we've got Barkley, who's kind of a winner, but he didn't win with the Giants. So we're questioning him. It's a good mix with Hurts. Hurts, very bad quarterback. He wants to run instead of throw. Again, that's not what a quarterback should be doing. I was listening to Emmett Smith in the radio yesterday in the car, driving to swim or something, and he was saying how the running back is the key, which I agreed with, which is what I keep saying. And then he got into like, there's only a couple elite quarterbacks who control the game, which is what I talk about, which was Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Brady was like that. And then he got to Lamar and he says, well, that's why people like Lamar, because it's an extension of the running game. So in effect, he's a good runner. But the part Emmett misses is he's not a good quarterback. And the fact that he can run, albeit good, put him at running back then. He shouldn't be quarterback. So that was the only question I had with Emmett was you need you need somebody to balance off the offense. So you need the threat of the pass, and he doesn't give you that. He's terrible at it. He turns the ball over too many times. Look at the Buffalo game. There was no way Baltimore was winning that game because Lamar threw 2 or 3 picks and a fumble, just like Jared Goff. Jared Goff doesn't help. But you need the balance, and you need the good leader and the good quarterback, and that's what you have with Mahomes. So if you're looking Mahomes and Hurts, it's a big edge. Mahomes, Barkley, and Hunt. It's an edge to Barkley, but not a big edge because you've got to play the pass, and there's the run. And how do you play defense? Are you going to play the pass or the run? That's why I hate when they get into these no back in the backfield sets. That offensive coordinator should be fired because it's obvious it's a pass unless you have Lamar or Josh Allen, a running quarterback. Then it's even more obvious it's a run. Then they're spreading people out. So they got to defend with 5 guys. And then there's only 6 and you got 5 blockers. So what you're doing there is signaling if Buffalo, it's Josh Allen, he's going to run. If it's Lamar, he's going to run. But you're giving it away. You're telegraphing your play. You need to have a back in the backfield because I might hand off, I might not. You got to have the defense think. You can't be, as we say in the art of war, you've got to mislead the opposition. And you're not if you don't have a running back in the backfield and you're going to throw, and if you got 3 receivers on this side, gee, I wonder if it's a wide receiver screen. How obvious, right? And so the defense knows what's coming. And just like the Super Bowl with Brady, the defense with Seattle, the defense knew exactly what the play was. There was no counter camouflage. There was no deception at all. It was very easy. And the correct play, the ball off to if you were scared of giving the ball to Marshawn Lynch, then Russell Wilson should have ran that option play where he can give it or run around. He would have scored for sure. Why they didn't use that play and went to a pass that was telegraphed That's why they didn't win the game. So, but again, there it was pretty even, and you had an even game, right? And that's what I think this game is. So coming all the way back, I like 30-27. I like Kansas City. I think there will be points. I think Philly with Barkley and the receivers should be able to score, and Kansas City, not necessarily Kelsey, but with what was it, Devontae Adams, or who was their other guy, and then the receivers, and then Hunt, and even Mahomes can sneak in. So with all that, I think they can definitely win there. So that's my point. It should be a close game because both defenses are very good, both offenses are very good, very balanced. I think both coaches are terrible. I like Spagnuolo. I think that keeps the defense, and I like Kellen Moore is not a bad offensive coordinator. If he's the coach in New Orleans, we're not betting on New Orleans, I'll tell you that. And then you've got their Phillies defensive coach, but their head coach is terrible. Very stupid play caller. And these let's go on fourth down stuff. I mean, that tells me you're a stupid head coach. Again, there's no reward in it, right? It's all risk. The reward, especially let's say you're on 30 or 40 or 50-yard line, there's no reward. It's risk. I either make it and I don't gain anything, or I lose. This is how you must think of football, as like a war. And if I punt, you gain field position. Now they have the ball at their 5-yard line. If I have a good punter who can, and one thing with punters, they should always go across their body, not against their body. So when Ray Guy would always do coffin corner punts, he would always go with his body. So if he's this way, he'd kick it. Well, he'd kick it over here, right? So if I'm like this, he'd kick it, and he was right foot, so he'd kick it through. I don't know. I'm turned around, but if you're right-footed and you're kicking into the end zone, you should go across your body and kick it to the 5-yard line, coffin corner it, but with your body, not where you're kicking you're trying to kick it to the right instead of kicking it to the left if you're right-footed. And but they don't even use the punter as an advantage. You have advantages. This is chess. Yeah, my pawns work, my bishops work, my knights work. Play them. Well, we're going to keep going for it on fourth down. That's not coaching. You're not a coach. You're an idiot. I'm sorry. There is no advantage to that. Unless you need, we got to keep the ball, or our defense sucks. Well, then you got a bigger problem than going for it on fourth down. You need to fire your defensive coordinator and bring in a defense. And that's the Lions' problem. They all want to cheer the GM like he's great, and then he doesn't give them a defense. And then you wonder why you keep losing the big games because your GM's failing you. He doesn't understand you need a defense. He should be drafting in the first round, instead of running backs and receivers from Alabama, draft defensive players from Georgia like Philadelphia did. So Philly's got at least 6 Georgia guys, and all of a sudden they got the number 1 defense. How about that? They had to fire the defensive coordinator because the other guy wasn't playing the Georgia guys. This guy plays Jalen Carter and Nicole Dean and all these other Georgia players, and hey, they got the best defense in the league, which doesn't surprise you because Georgia had a 7 defense. So that's what you're looking for. It's all about leaders. Now, again, I'm going back to the Roman Empire, but let's stay in football for now. The smarter leaders win. The smarter coaches win. And that's why you go with Spagnuolo. And the offensive coach at Kansas City is Mahomes. And he'll outthink you. He knows what to do, what play to do. If I was Andy Reid, I'd get the fuck out of the way. If they even have an offensive coordinator, I'd get the fuck out of the way and just give the game to Mahomes. And in the past, Bart Starr, when he played for Lombardi, he was the offensive coordinator. He basically called his own game. And so did Joe Namath and a lot of Ken Stabler. They would call their own game. They were the offensive coordinator. They're on the field. They know what's going to work and what isn't going to work. Bradshaw was too stupid to do that. But Montana, I'm sure, could easily call it. But Bill Walsh was such a strong offensive mind. Basically, Bill Parcells just did not let Sims couldn't possibly call his own plays. He was not intelligent. And that leaves you where he's playing into Lawrence Taylor's hands. He's the general that knows his strength is the defense. So he's sitting there going, all right, don't fuck up, no turnovers. Every fourth down's a punt because my strength's Lawrence Taylor. But I don't see any of these coaches now understanding that. Maybe Sean Payton would. And Coach Pete definitely will. Outside of that, Mike Tomlin doesn't understand it, which is shocking. But basically, Andy Reid understands Mahomes, his strength, but he also has a strong defense. So you have that. Buffalo doesn't get it. Buffalo doesn't have a defense, and it's all Josh Allen running, which is ridiculous. And Baltimore, their coach should have been fired a long time ago. You're not winning with Lamar because he's not a good quarterback. So you either get a good quarterback in and make Lamar a running back or a wide receiver or punt returner. That's his strength. Or that's it. I don't know what Lamar is, but he's not a quarterback. And how many times you're going to lose before you realize, are we here to win Super Bowls or are we here to just have a good regular season? And I guess what did Lamar win? MVP again. I mean, what a joke that is. Why is he winning MVP? Why do you think he's the most valuable player when it's clearly Mahomes? Mahomes is clearly by a mile the most valuable player, and then Joe Burrow is right there, number 2. And yet you want to sit there and call it. You want to call Lamar. Why do you think Lamar is the most valuable? The most valuable is the one that wins, in my mind. Well, they had a big scoring offense, yeah. And how do they do in the playoffs? Oh, yeah, they lost to Buffalo. It's insanity. What did they win the first game? They beat Pitt 28-14. That's why he's the MVP. Silly me. So the general of the team, the coach, must know his strengths and weaknesses, which he doesn't. It's obvious most of these teams, the Lions, look at the game plan against Washington and look at Philadelphia's game plan against Washington. They ran Barkley down their throats and he runs for 250 yards. Detroit had a good offense. They had a good running attack. And yet they decide to let Jared Goff, the biggest choke in the league, have the ball. And what does he do? It's like basketball. Who do you want to take the last shot? Well, I want Jordan to take the last shot. I want Larry Bird to take the last shot. Even Robert Horry was a very clutch player. And so what the Lions said is, I want Goff to take the last shot. One of the biggest chokes in the league, in college, at the Rams, now at the Lions. He hasn't won a big game. I'm going to have him take the last shot. Hey, Pat, how are you? Talking a little Roman. I was watching the Roman Empire, so we're comparing it to football, and then I'm going to get into Rome versus the U.S. I hope you're well. What did we're at 28.62 in gold. I went to the store yesterday, and I'm going to buy 10 ounces of silver, as I told you in class. And I go there, and he's got quarter ounces of gold. So I spent a little more than I wanted, but I got the gold ounce. He was $8.22, which I thought about 800 would have been right. But, I keep bitching at him to have the quarter ounces. So he finally had a quarter ounce. I had to buy it. And, it's only $20, but it's gold. So I got a quarter ounce of gold. Very happy. And I did get my check. I get Social Security on Monday, so we'll be fine. There are rumors of silver shortages at we understand that. There is a 4-year silver shortage. They are short 25,000 tons of silver. Now, if silver is shorter in supply than gold Gold has 200,000 tons, of which 199 are gone. So silver must have less than 200,000 tons, although I thought they had 400 or 500,000 tons, but we don't know. And the difference is gold can be reused. I can have, this could have been Julius Caesar's, right? It could have been, because gold just gets remelted. But if I have silver, it cannot have been Julius Caesar's, because you can't melt the silver. The silver is what the silver is, and it wears out. So how much silver is there? Good question. A lot of people have silver, and I don't know. I saw a 100-ounce silver bar yesterday at the coin store. It was nice going in there. The guy, he says, "Oh, I was waiting for you. I got some quarters." He said, I thought he was trying to get a hold of me, but I never got a call from him. But yeah, that would be nice to get the quarter. Again, I still wanted some silver because we know that's out. But yes, silver is very much in demand. It is very low. Like COMEX is minus 25, but again, 25,000 tons. So their 4-year backlog. But the problem is silver, again, is priced by COMEX, which is, let's add Goldman Sachs to the JP Morgan. The two of them are fucking everybody over, but they're keeping it with derivatives. It's not a free market. So we understand that. We know there's a shortage of gold and silver. We know that. And we're hoping as it breaks up. Again, COMEX is not a store. Oh, I need, I'm going to go in there for 100 ounces of silver. You go to the coin store. You don't go to COMEX. So these people are going to COMEX. COMEX doesn't have it to deliver. And it's, so I think a lot of these, like China and India, are going right to mines. They're going right to the gold mine, the silver mine, saying, I need 100 tons. I need 1,000 tons. And they're paying a lot more than the $30 an ounce. I think China's paying $75, $80 an ounce at the mine. The mines are idiots. If I was running a mine, I wouldn't let my silver go for less than $500 an ounce. If you're coming to my mine to get it, it's going to cost you $500. The $30, if I'm too stupid to understand that $30 is a bullshit price, I probably shouldn't be running a silver mine. And that's where I get into the Roman thing, which I'll get into. So we know that, and that's why I ran to buy more silver, but I'll always take the gold over the silver. Especially, see, he's telling me, well, the gold ounce was, I think, $29.77 yesterday. He's 110 over spot. But he says to me, but the quarter ounce is a little bit more of a premium. And I said, well, yeah, but on the other hand, I can sell it for more than the premium also. So if I go to sell a quarter ounce of gold, it's also going to be $825, which is $3,300, and the spot's 28 something, and I can buy it from you for $29.70. So I go, it works both ways, but I don't always have $3,000 to buy an ounce. So what I do have, I always have $700-800 to buy a quarter, and that's why I buy it, because I'm collecting inventory. At the same time, the banks are going even shorter with derivatives. Yeah, I don't understand any short derivatives right now, or put options. It's really, I guess they're just probably the stupidest people in the world. This is what happens when Keynesians run things, that they go ahead and the Keynesians, oh, look, the dollar's stronger, we're going to short gold and silver. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know who's stupid enough to do derivatives shorting gold or silver at this point. When you have extremely high demand and you have shortages, which make the demand even higher, and the price should go way up, why would you short anything? So I guess the banks just like losing money, because that's all I can understand. But yeah, I mean, the derivatives, I think they're just plugged into the systems and algorithms. When the dollar goes up, we do a derivative. And this is the problem with AI, right? Once you take human out of it and it's just an AI thing where it's just AI, where it's a computer doing it, you're fucked. Somebody asked me what I thought about AI, and this is what I think about it. This is the problem. They're doing derivatives based on the dollar being worth more. So they're automatically doing a derivative that they're automatically going to lose money in. So the algorithm needs to be changed because it's not going to work. You're going to cost the company or the bank billions and billions of dollars with your stupid derivatives that you have to go buy the silver to cover it. What are you doing? And this is the problem with algorithms. Um, there's a touch and a feel with like I can see something and like I can spot it. Like today, I'm talking Mahomes, and I say Andy Reid sucks. Well, the AI might think he's good. I'm bitching at the Lions with their quarterback. I'm bitching with Lamar because he's not a winner and Goff's not a winner. But AI world, they might tell you to bet Baltimore and bet Detroit when you know these guys are going to choke. They don't have a chance to win. And once you understand that, now I made a comment last week. Baltimore plays Buffalo, and what did I say? I said, whoever wins the game is going to lose to Kansas City because it's going to be like the Oakland-Miami game. It was very emotional, down to the wire. Stabler hits, Clarence Davis in the end zone to win the game, and then they get Pittsburgh, and they couldn't be. They had to be flat. You can't get that high for Oakland and Miami when Miami's trying for a fourth Super Bowl, and Oakland keeps losing to Pittsburgh, and it was a war, and it was in Oakland, and they were very emotional, like a Michigan Ohio State game, Texas Oklahoma, and so the next week they're going to be flat, and they were. And here, Baltimore Buffalo, I said the same thing. Buffalo wins it 27-25, an emotional game. And Buffalo now has to go to KC. And I say they're going to be flat. And KC wins 32-29, basically. There was never a doubt KC was not going to win that game. I bet it over, and I bet KC. And it was a very, there was no way Buffalo was going to win the game. They couldn't they don't have a good enough defense, but emotionally they weren't. And this is the thing. So here you have AI fucking everything up, and why? They don't understand it. So the guy running the silver mine should be doing it. We need to reprice gold and silver and get it out of the COMEX pricing. But all that's happening is you're allowing Russia and China and India and the rest of the BRICS to buy gold and silver cheap. Everybody knows gold shouldn't be 28.60. It should be at least, I would say, 10 to 15,000 an ounce, just based on very limited supply and huge demand. Everybody's getting out of the dollar. I mean, how many BRICS countries are there now? 20. And Russia and China with a lot of money, and India, and they're all getting out of dollars and into gold. Wouldn't you think the price of gold should go up more than $10, $20 a day, like $500 a day? Wouldn't you think silver would go up, not down, or up more than 20 cents? I mean, that's amazing. Oh, well, the U.S. has to make Tomahawk missiles, so they need the silver for that. Well, too bad. The silver price is now $1,000 an ounce. So I went to get barbecue yesterday after our class, and then I went swimming, and I talked to the owner, my guy who understands gold and silver, only he doesn't anymore. He keeps thinking, well, the U.S. won't pay off the debt. I go, they have to. He doesn't get that. So he's listening to somebody, and this goes back to who do you trust? And he's listening to other people. And I said, well, silver's going to hit 1,000 an ounce. Oh, no, it never will. Yeah, it will, at least once we get out of COMEX. You have to understand COMEX is the driver that keeps the price down. But he's like, oh, no, it won't. And again, he's disrespecting me. So you don't disrespect me. You don't think it will because what? You're listening to Rick Reichart, or you're listening to what idiot are you listening to that's saying it won't? Probably one of these Keynesian guys who are saying, "Oh no, the dollar's fine, everything's okay. Yeah, I know they're all dumping, but no, that's no problem." So this is the problem. So the guy again doesn't quite get it, um, and but don't insult me. No. That you can't cross that line. You don't. You If you don't want to understand me, then you're an idiot because you're not keeping your mind open. So I'll take you to the pool now. And there's this guy who's really big and African American, and we're in the pool and we talk. At first, he didn't know who I was, and I'm explaining gold to him. He doesn't really listen, and now he's buying gold and silver. He says, "You know what? I started listening to what you were saying, and you know what? You really make a lot of sense. And now I'm buying silver, and then I'm going to start buying gold." I said, "Well, you better buy gold first. Silver's going to hang in at that $30 price, but gold, it's going to be 3,000 soon. So I would pick up the gold first and then pick up the silver, because silver will still, even if it'll go up to 35, still very affordable. That's why I haven't really been rushing to buy silver, but that's why every purchase I've been making is gold." And so he said, "I learned a lot from you. I appreciate that. And people should have open minds and listen. And and that's what we need in schools." And I said, "Yeah, exactly." So here's a guy who I don't know who he is. Here's a guy running a restaurant, and the guy in the pool is smarter than the guy running the restaurant. It's just amazing how stupid people are. Well, why won't you listen to me? Do I say anything that doesn't make sense? That isn't true. Where am I wrong? Tell me where I'm wrong. I'll listen. I doubt I'm wrong, but tell me. I've got a master's in it, so I'm probably going to be right most of the time, but I will be wrong on certain things. And he's just, silver will never hit 1,000. And then he's saying, "Well, I don't have any money." And then he got to the 401k. So let's break down the 401k. Well, let's end the football. So 30-27 KC. KC Generals are smarter than the Philadelphia Generals. Mahomes, smartest guy in the field. They'll win the game. Sorry for jumping. 30-27, Kansas City. And it'll definitely be a high-scoring game, and it'll definitely be a close game. Barkley he'll score a couple touchdowns. He'll keep Philly in it. Mahomes will win it because Hurts can't. Hurts will try to run, and Spagnuolo will blitz him, take Hurts out of the game. Barkley, I got 2 minutes. I can't run Barkley. I got to throw the ball, and that's where the downfall is. So if KC plays to making Hurts beat him throwing and taking Barkley out of the game a little, that's why KC, you can't take Mahomes out of the game. They'd have to, I guess, just blitz him, but he'll read the blitz. He'll dump it off to Kelsey, so you really can't take him off. So no injuries, no weather. It's indoors. 30-27 KC. Definitely high scoring and definitely close. I've teased Philly with the over. Again, it's a 1. If it goes Philly 1, I then play a Kansas City plus 7.5 with the over. The over is definite. Even with Philly's defense, KC's going to score on it. And I know Philly's been playing a lot of unders, and I've been betting them under, but after the Washington games and the Ram games, when they play the better quarterbacks, they're giving up points, which again is, you got to look at who they're playing. And that's what I've always said about the Lions the last 2 years. They got killed by the good teams and they beat the bad teams, but nobody wanted to point it out. Last year, they lost to Baltimore, got killed. They lost to Dallas. They lost to Green Bay and Chicago. You lost to Chicago with Fields. That's pretty bad. And then they got lucky in the playoffs. They didn't have to play Philly or Dallas. They both collapsed. This year, they didn't even do anything in the playoff. They got to Daniels, and that was it. He lit them up, and that was the end of them. Their defense sucks, Detroit's, and you can blame the injuries, but I blame the GM. He's not getting good players. He's getting too many Alabama players, so that means he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just taking guys from Alabama thinking, well, they're good. They go to Alabama. He's not realizing Alabama's defense is not very good. And you've got to go to Georgia and LSU, and Utah always has a good defense. Iowa State, Iowa. Why aren't you taking players from there? Why would you go to Alabama? Jesus Christ. It's a system anyway. Even when whatchamacallit was the coach, it was all system. That's why none of them ever do anything in the pros. Right. Anyway. Okay, so that's football, 30-27. So let's go back to this. So again, you've got to have a good system in place. So the 401k. All right, let's talk about that. So my friend in Florida has his 401k, which he doesn't want to get out of. He's scared. The guy at the restaurant says, "What if you got $500,000 in a 401k?" So I assume he's got $500,000 in a 401k. Otherwise, where's he coming up with those numbers? And I said to him, well, it's going to be worthless because it's monopoly money. And you've got to get out of it. And you go by, he says, so what should I do? Like, well, what should my friend do? Right? So what if he takes 200,000 out and puts it into gold, or sells it all and buys gold? I says, you're fine. Gold. Okay. So let's say gold doesn't do what I say it's going to do, even though we've seen it go from 1,700 to almost 2,900. But yeah, okay. I've been wrong so far, I guess. There's too much demand for it. BRICS is all going gold. Nobody trusts the dollar. The U.S. is getting killed. The only chance maybe Trump comes in is to go on a gold standard, which will raise the gold price. So what is your fear? That the gold's going to go to zero? But let's say the gold just stays at 2,900. You can go back and sell it back in. So, but the 401k, then they'd pay a penalty to get out of it. Well, if you stay in it, the penalty is going to be death by execution. You'll be zero. Your 401k is now worthless. But you got $500,000. It's not going to be worth anything. And I know you got to pay a tax on it, but maybe not, because if Trump gets rid of the income tax, you won't have to pay anything. It'll all be tariffs. But let's say you do. All right, you can pay over time. You don't have to pay it once. And what you do know is your dollar's losing value. And with what's happening, the economy's in a depression. And with that happening, all these companies are going to go belly up or be hurt, lay off a lot of employees. And it's a domino effect. I just got my job eliminated. Well, I can't buy what I was buying, right? I can't spend the way I was spending with a job making 5 times my Social Security. Now I lost it. I got to cut my spending down. But that's why I buy gold, because then the gold goes up. So I'm actually making money. So if we looked at it, so let's say I have 100 ounces. I don't, but let's say I do. And it went from 26.50 to 28.50. It went up $200 times 100 ounces is $20,000. So if I had 100 ounces, I would have made $20,000 in the last month watching it go up $200. Now, I'm not selling the gold because that's not the point of it, but it's worth $20,000 more if I had 100 ounces. So I'm close to it, but just for an example. So that's the point. You would have made $20,000. Do I need a job? Because and then I got to pay tax on it. So what am I really making at my job? And then the money's not worth anything anyway. So, gold's going to run. And then once silver, I do have 700 ounces. When that goes up 100, I make $70,000. Well, silver's not running. Silver will run. And as I told the guy at the restaurant, it's going to 1,000 an ounce. Why? Because of demand, and it's limited, and people need money. And when everybody understands that, and I tried to explain this to him, I says, you don't get it. Every currency in the world's going to zero. It's not just the US dollar. It's the euro is bankrupt. and the Swiss franc's bankrupt, and the British pound, Britain is bankrupt, and Italy and France are bankrupt, but they're using the euro, and Japan's bankrupt, and China's out. India's, the rupee's not worth anything. The ruble's not worth anything. So you end up going, look, these are not worth anything. So they're all going to jump into the lifeboat, which will be gold. And then if silver is still $30 an ounce, they're going to be jumping into that, making it go up. Pat, silver will be 1K because industry will take it all, leaving retail with nothing. No, that's not true. Industry won't take it all. But right now, the investors, and I'll call us investors, or the smart guys, we realize silver is money. And so we're buying it now cheap also. So they're keeping it cheap so we can buy it, right? But they don't think we're smart enough to buy it. But I don't think industry can take it all. But again, how long will the wars keep going? So yes, in a Tomahawk missile, they need 500 ounces of silver. And I'm sure they're building a lot of missiles. But where are they getting the silver? Because there's a 25,000 ton shortage and there's a 4-year shortage. So they're not making missiles, but it's a double because, yes, you have manufacturing, but you have people like us who are buying it. The guy in the store yesterday had a 100-ounce bar. He had 10-ounce, 20-ounce, 5-ounce bars. He didn't have as many coins, but he had some. And that's the key. So I don't buy too many bars. I buy more ounces. But again, the bars aren't bad to have because I gave Jenna one. I gave her a 5-ounce bar. She says, "Can I touch that?" I says, "Yeah, it's 5 ounces." So, when silver hits $100, it's $500. Like, be aware that it's 5 ounces. So with that said, there was a lot of that. So industry's buying it, mostly the defense contractors, but a lot's going to Russia and a lot's going to China and a lot's going to India and Saudi Arabia. Yes, for industry. So right now, I think what you're saying is they're buying gold for a safe haven and an investment, but they're not really into silver yet. And that's why you see this big divergence, 90-1 in the ratio or whatever. I don't care about the ratio. I know $30 for an ounce of silver is a joke. Like I said, I was trying to buy 20 ounces yesterday, but the gold was there, and I bought the quarter ounce, especially after I've been telling him, I want to buy quarter ounces. All he had is ounce. He had 1 ounce of full harmonic. And he had one other Panda ounce. He had 2-ounce bars, the kind you get at Costco. And then he had 3/4 ounces and 1/10 of an ounce. That's all he had in gold. This is my point. Gold's running out. And the price, look, he's charging $822. And because it's very limited. And then I would have bought, had it been a normal week and I got my big paychecks and Social Security, I would have bought the full harmonic ounce, but that would have been next week because I get Social Security. So I would have got a big check Thursday, which I got Monday, Social Security. Thursday should have been a big check, but it's a 1-dayer, and that's what I should have got. So we will see. Anyway, so this is getting back to what I've been talking about with the head coaches, with the generals and everything. You got to be smart. The smart coach wins. The winner wins. Mahomes wins. Sean Payton's a winner. Coach Pete, he's a winner. You just bet on him. He'll bring in a good quarterback. He'll bring in a good offense. He'll bring in a good defense. You watch what he does. But he's smart. This is why I laugh at the Lions. They're not smart. They're idiots. And I pointed out to you why. Everybody loves the GM. Why? He didn't give us defense. We lost because our defense sucked. We gave up 45 points to Jalen Daniels. What the fuck was that? So he doesn't go after the right players. He doesn't understand defense. He goes after Alabama instead of Georgia. There's a lot of problems this GM has. Ooh, he took a running back and a wide receiver from Alabama. Isn't he a great offensive coordinator? Oh my God. So all his first round picks played because the team was so bad under Patricia that he didn't. So anyway, with money, we have to. So what I'm seeing is guys with 401ks. So this is where we got to get into it. You have a 401k, but if you sell it, and let's say you're 40, 45, 50, 55 years old, and it's worth $500,000. How do you get out of it? Because then you get taxed and you have to pay this 10% penalty. So there's a big penalty to get out of it. And nobody wants to pay the penalty. And all you can do is look at it and you go, well, this is what it's going to cost me. I'm going to sell it and I'm going to pay a tax because it's not because it's a 401k. And then I got to pay a 10% penalty. How much is that going to be? Whatever. I don't know. So you have that, but then, maybe it costs you 10%. So maybe it's 500,000, maybe it costs you 50 grand. Maybe you got to pay 30 grand in taxes and then 10%, 10 grand in penalty. So let's say it costs you 40 grand. Well, you got the money because you just sold it. So you use that money to pay the taxes. So it gives you a little bit less for gold. Now here's your dilemma. Well, okay, so then I put it all into gold if you can find it and if you can get it at an affordable price. We did it when gold was 1800. On the other hand, you've got you've got everything where now you're paying 29.3. Let's say you're paying 3,000 because it's 28.60. So most likely you're going to pay $3,000 for an ounce of gold. So for 100,000, where my friend got 45 ounces, because a couple of years ago I had him, he bought 100,000 worth of gold. He now has, you're only getting 30 ounces because that's going to be 3,000 is going to be 90,000. So 33 ounces, let's say. So you're getting less gold in the first place, but you are getting gold. So it's a trade-off. Now, what's your risk? Well, if you do nothing, your risk is watching your stocks go to zero, watching the dollar go out, watching the value of your stocks drop. Well, that won't happen. Really? Oh, and when did you graduate with a master's in Austrian economics? Why won't it happen? Of course it's going to happen. The money's losing value. Open your eyes. That's what BRICS is doing, dumping dollars for gold. Well, they're doing it, but you're not. Well, you don't think the dollar is going to go out. Your 401k is going to go to basically, okay, let's say it doesn't go to zero. Let's say it goes from 500,000 to 50,000. Well, you could have paid, like I said, 40,000 to get out of it and then be in gold and be protected, or you chose to lose 450,000. That's what they're not looking at. Is they assume that it's only going to go up because it's all bullshit price fixed by JP Morgan, where they're pushing money into the stock market, not from the public. They're pushing it in to say, look how good the economy is. And that was for the election. Well, guess what? It ain't going to keep happening. And when Trump does his tariffs, you're really fucked because that raises the cost on everything. So if you're in Apple or if you're in Microsoft, whatever you're in, you're fucked because now everything got more expensive. Apple, Amazon, whatever. And we don't even make a lot of stuff. We're just you're in Amazon. It's a delivery system. Microsoft, all right, they make computers. Okay, is everybody going to run out and get a computer? You're in Apple. Nobody's buying a $1,600 iPhone when they're trying to feed their family. And then you have, but they'll all get into the Apple network or, the TV. Nobody's going to be paying more. I got Roku and that, okay, I got Netflix. That's it. And I'll be getting rid of Netflix if I want to, but I like these little miniseries. but that's it. Um, I got one. I'm not going to get the Disney package and watch a bunch of bullshit. Uh, so I'm not going to get ESPN. I think it's crap. So basically, these stocks are going to collapse. Tesla, what are they? Who's going to buy an electric car for 90 grand that's going to catch on fire and you're going to good luck finding a charging station? It'll be better in Europe because they are smaller streets. And the key difference is the gas price in Europe is much higher than it is here. That makes sense. Here we don't. It's I can fill up for 290 right now. That's fine. I mean, I'm not going to get an electric car for that. But if you're in, let's say, Germany, and it's $7 a gallon or liter, as they do it in Europe, yeah, that is expensive. I'm not sure I'd run out and buy an electric car because I'm not sure the electricity will stay inexpensive. I think that'll go more. I noticed my electric bill was higher. I don't know why it was higher, but it was higher. I get the heat because it was freezing here. Now it's more mild. I'm not running my heat. My heating bill did go up a little bit. I expect it to go back down, as the weather is not freezing and I don't have to raise the temperature, and it was running all the time. So that should be better. But I don't know why the electricity was higher. I get the heat, but I didn't get the electricity. So we'll see if we get a normal. Maybe it's the electricity that runs the furnace. So the electricity was higher because the furnace was higher. We'll see. We'll see if this month should be pretty much back to normal. But with higher tariffs, the economy is going to get killed. We already know what happened with the Depression, Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, 1930. And now it should have only lasted a year or two, but FDR brings in Keynes as his advisor, and he totally screws the country up, which they don't take blame for. Nobody blames him. He should have been hung. I mean, you got to be kidding me. And they elect him 4 times. That's the reward he gets for fucking the country up to no end, which reminds me of the Romans, which I've been watching. We'll get to that in a minute. So the stock market's going to crash because, I mean, forget the tariffs. The economy is terrible and it's being propped up by inflated money that's worthless. So you see what happens. My position's eliminated. They got to watch their costs. Your sales are going to drop. Your costs maybe go up, maybe not, but your sales are going to drop. So your income's going to drop. You're in trouble. They were trying to sell their business. That's why they laid me off or eliminated my position. So that's what's happening with that. And that's why we get out of the money and go into gold and silver, because we know what's going to happen. We know the market's going to crash, and then the banks are going to crash because people aren't going to be able to pay back the loans. And that's how a bank makes money. They take your deposit and loan 10 times the amount out, creating paper out of nothing and saying, here's your loan, and we're going to charge you 8%, and then we're going to get paid the loan in 8%. But you need the money to make the loan. So if you're opening up a strip mall, well, you don't have $10 million to build it. So you take a loan out to build it, and then you're going to charge so much for rent. They're going to pay you the rent, and you're going to pay the bank back. Well, so if you didn't have the bank to loan the money, you wouldn't have the strip mall in the first place. Okay, fine. I think the bank should have the money, and if they don't, they shouldn't be able to loan out what they don't have. Now, the guy with the strip mall or the guy with the big buildings, the office buildings, that there's nobody there, and so he has no tenants, so he can't pay the rent back. He closes it up and says, you know what? I'm going to go bankrupt. I'll see you later, because I can't get people, I can't get tenants, so I can't get income to cover the expense of the bank. I'm out. The bank then doesn't get the money in. They're screwed. And that's exactly what's happening. So the banks go out, and then what do the foreigners do? The foreigners hear all this. And so the Shah of Saudi Arabia, or the king, or whatever the guy is, or the big hitters in Russia or China or India start pulling their money. The Germans, the Italians, the rich guys who have their money in the U.S. banks, the safe haven, start realizing, oh shit, the banks aren't gonna, they're in trouble. They might go out. I better pull my money out. That's the other thing. And you know what? I better pull my money out of the stock market because that's going to start crashing. So when all the piece when Humpty Dumpty falls down and all the pieces are out that nobody can put them together. Well, that's what you have going here. You have a triple header. You have stocks, you have the real estate, and you have the banks all about to say good night. And therefore, all these rich people who think they're rich are going to pull their money out. And then what do they do with it? So I'm in Germany. What am I going to do with my money? So I got euros. Well, shit, I don't want to hold euros. The euros were broke. So I got to get into gold and silver, pushing the gold and silver price up. And how do you not see that? How do you not see it going from 1700 to 2860 and not even think, I wonder what's going on in the gold market. I wonder why everybody's buying gold. My financial planner says gold's not a good thing. It doesn't go up. Silver, it sits at 30. It doesn't move. It's not a good asset. Get into the stock market so I can make my commission. Only they don't tell you that. And that's what's happening. But silver's being held down and manipulated, price fixed. That's why it's not moving, because if you see silver at $100 an ounce, it would be all over. Everybody would just dump their money. So now let's get back to the guy in the 401k. He's got $500,000. He says, gee, I keep it, look at the stocks are going up, so that's good. So why would I get out? Well, you got to look forward. The Titanic hit the iceberg and the water's coming in, and you're saying, yeah, look, we're still going. So why would I get off the boat? It's still moving. Although I believe they shut the engines off at that point. And, not looking 3 steps ahead going, oh shit, the water's coming in. Oh shit, we're going to sink. Oh shit, I better get off the boat. And that's what people aren't doing. So the 401k people are not doing the 3 steps I just said. They're not saying, well, no, market's at 44,000. Everything's fine. They're not looking ahead. Well, wait a minute. Yeah, Trump's going to do tariffs, but even without it, the economy sucks. Oh yeah, but they're not telling me. And if I get out, I got to pay tax. Geez, So I take my 500K, pay 50 grand in taxes and penalties, leaves me 450K. Yeah, but what if gold and silver doesn't make money? Then what do I do? I'm fucked. No, because gold and silver you can't lose with. And if you know the rule of inflation, which is the more you print, the less it's worth, and the dollar's worth zero, and the gold's going up and it's very limited and can only go up, how are you going to lose? Where are you going to lose? The dollar cannot recover and all of a sudden have a value. You printed it to death. $160 trillion are out there. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You're fucked. So the dollar will never regain its value. So your 500,000 in the 401k is really monopoly money. It's really not worth anything. You could take that to the grocery store and maybe have two baskets full of groceries. So your 500K is, what will it buy? Not a whole lot. Can't even buy a house. Maybe you can buy a house, but you're going to pay 7-8% interest on your house if you can find one. Now the prices are falling, so even if you bought a house for investment, you're fucked. This is what I love. The banks, this is how stupid the banks are. So I keep seeing, well, the banks are buying all the houses. The stupidest investment, I got this in my notes, the stupidest investment for a bank is a house, because it's a long-term thing. And they're not in the business to sell houses. They're in the business to sell money and, make loans. That's what a bank's for, to take deposits in, make loans with it, make interest and pay off the depositors. That's what a bank's function is, not to buy houses. Not Larry Fink, who's a salesman. He's all he was a sales. He sold houses. So when the house's value goes to zero, the banks will all go out. So they think, aha, I have the bank, I can charge more. If you want a house, I'm gonna charge you, all this extra money because we own all the houses. It's about as stupid of a monopoly as De Beers. De Beers has the diamond monopoly, and they think, oh, and they make the diamonds $6,000 a carat, whatever. Well, nobody buys them. Nobody buys it. You buy it maybe to get married, and then you never buy another one. Maybe on your anniversary, where you might buy a diamond, you might buy an emerald or a ruby, but you're not buying another diamond because they're too fucking expensive. This is the case of the stupidest monopoly I've ever heard of. If I have a monopoly on it, I'm probably selling the diamonds for $1,000. You get a nice ring for $1,000. I want to make it affordable for my market because I understand free market. I don't make it over market where it's $6,000, or I'm my even stupider is, well, my market is rich people. I don't care about the poor and the middle class who can't afford 6,000. I just want to sell diamonds to the rich. You got a monopoly. Are you out of your fucking mind? That's the dumbest monopoly I've ever heard of. Well, here comes a monopoly in houses. Well, the banks will own the house. They're Goldman Sachs, the J.P. Morgans, the Black Rocks, the Blackstones, the Blacks. They'll all have houses. You're not going to have any tenants. And if you market over market, if you price it over market, you're not going to have anybody in there. Now what are you going to do? You got maintenance fees, you got taxes. What are you going to do with the houses? Good luck without tenants to pay your bills. You still got to heat the place and cool it and have electricity and mow the lawn and pay the property taxes. And if you're not getting income in, you're just like a bank. There's no income, you're in big fucking trouble. So who's going to buy your houses? Again, second dumbest monopoly I've ever heard of. You don't make a monopoly and then raise the price over market and can't do it. It's like the rib guy. If the rib guy wants to sell his ribs at $45 a slab, he'll be gone. He won't have a business. All right, so let's get into the title, the Rome versus the U.S. I'm talking ancient Rome. You had Julius Caesar, right? He was a great mind, a great general, and a great president, or what do we call him? The council. The council was the president. So what you had was Caesar he was the council, but a great general. He won a lot of battles. And then there was the Senate. And that's a republic. You have a president, a council, and a Senate, and they make the laws for the people. And the Senate's supposed to help the council run Rome. So they're supposed to go out and do the things, and then he runs it, right? And so Caesar goes and he's in war, and he goes to Egypt and he meets Cleopatra, and he doesn't leave for a few years. And then he says, I got to go back to Rome. And he sees it's a mess. There's riots. There's no food. He's like, what the fuck's going on here? So he says, geez, you know what? He fixes everything because he's really smart. And then he goes and says, you know what? We need a dictator because I see what happens when I'm not here, it goes to shit. I need to be running it because I'm the best guy. But he did it for a good reason, not a bad reason. Sort of like what Trump's trying to help save the country. Biden was one of these corrupt leaders that was not trying to. He was trying. He was more of an evil president, or probably a dictator. A lot of corruption. So you need a Caesar to run things who's competent, but for the people. The problem is this is dangerous because if he's a dictator, nobody can challenge him. There's no checks and balances. But that's a good thing if it's a good dictator. It's a bad thing if it's a bad dictator. So then it becomes you have to have a strong leader who's smart, who's for the people. But if you get a Hitler, or if you get a Biden, you're fucked. And that's really what the problem is. So it's got to be a smart leader. And that's where I get to generals, and that's where I get to good football coaches, right? You got to have a good football coach who knows what he's doing, and you'll win. A bad coach, uh, like Baltimore's, like Buffalo's, who have players, but they're terrible coaches, the Lions coach. And that's where I get it from. You want Julius Caesar as your coach. As I said, Lombardi, Chuck Noll, Bill Walsh, Bill Parcells. You don't want a guy like Harbaugh, the Buffalo coach, or the Lion coach who don't know how to coach. You get bad coaches and it doesn't work. And that's what you're looking at. So the Romans were a republic until Caesar takes it and says, you guys suck. I'll have to run it. So he micromanages, but it's good. Everything's fine. They're being fed and it's clean and everything. And then he gets assassinated because the Senate is too scared that he's got all the power and they're losing their power, which gets into the power plays. People are power hungry. They're corrupt, and that's by nature. And that's the problem with government. Now, I'm not saying you have a king or queen. I'm not saying you have a dictator. But I don't know what the best system is. I think the best system is having a good leader. And I think that's really what you strive to find, and it should be qualifications to, are you a good leader or not? And the way they play the shenanigans, you get a guy like Biden who's an idiot. People, well, we don't want Trump. Now all of a sudden Trump's a good leader. But they didn't want him before, or it was George Soros who corrupted everybody. Who bought the polling system, who fixed the election. So that's really what you've got to be careful of. And that's the problem. You see it in sports. You can see a good coach from a bad one, good organization from a bad one, like the Giants, the Bears. These guys are idiots. New Orleans, they have no brain in their head. Oakland's smart enough to hire Coach Pete, and Denver's smart enough to hire Sean Payton. Good organizations. You got good leaders in charge that know what they're doing. This is what I bitch at when they hire these offensive coordinators. Like the Jets hired the defensive coordinator from the Lions who sucked. Do you think you have any chance to be a 500 team with this guy? Has he proven he's a good leader? Absolutely not. Was he a good general? Did he help Detroit? No, he didn't do anything. As soon as Detroit got injuries, they collapsed. Michael Penix, 45, Detroit 31. So that's my point. Why would you hire this guy? What has he done that he's Julius Caesar, where you see, oh, wow, he won this war and he won that war. And that's what I want. And that's what you're looking for. So that's why I bitch about quarterbacks and coaches, is because you want Julius Caesar to run your team, to run your country. Trump, not a Julius Caesar, but he's trying to make things right here. Okay, but you're only going to have him for 4 years. And then the problem's going to be who's your next president. And right now, the whole system is terrible. He's elected, which is good, but it's based on money. Does he have enough money to advertise, vote for me? And then it's just it's a show, and it's George Soros behind pulling the strings and getting these guys elected. Notice how Trump got in, but then his finance guy is George Soros's guy. How dumb is Trump? Now you question Trump's ability. He's got Elon Musk involved, who's an idiot. And now you go, well, he seems to want to do things, but then he's hiring the wrong people to do it. Elon Musk isn't elected, has no business being in government. His private sector company builds electric cars. shows me he has no knowledge. He buys Twitter and he lays off 80% of the people without actually seeing if he needed them or not. What do you think he had? They had a company and they didn't need the people, and you just laid off the people because why? So my friend who works for the DOD says the same thing. He says you got the same email from Musk that he did to Twitter. We're at a fork in the road. And they see it on Twitter that he sent to the. It's the same message. He didn't even come with a new message. We're at a fork in the road, and he's going to let all these DOD guys go without knowing if they're needed or not or why they're even there. But he just sees them as government employees, so he's just going to fire them. What he's trying to do is buyouts. So take the buyout. We'll give you 8 months of salary, and then you're gone. You're fired because we're trying to break down government. But you've got to see what you need and what. Now I know if government should be there for, as we say, there's 5 reasons it should be there. The role of government is low taxes, free trade, sound money, sound laws, and a constitution. Anything else should not be. Education shouldn't be there. HUD shouldn't be there. The thing of medical shouldn't be there. FDA, all this Fauci stuff shouldn't be there. You don't need the government doing it. In the marketplace, that will control all that. If it's needed, it'll be there. If something's not needed, they go bankrupt. That's the marketplace. That's the beauty in the marketplace. So the question is not Trump. Some of his decisions seem strange, Elon Musk and George Soros, but then you've got to get to the next president, and going forward, we need to change the whole system around because we'll get another idiot like Biden in there, or Pelosi, or Hillary Clinton, or Bill Clinton, or George Clinton, or Bush. We're very lucky to get a Reagan, but that's the problem. So there's more Bushes and Clintons than there are Reagans. And there has to be some way of hiring them that isn't corrupt. In other words, well, Julius Caesar's a dictator now, and Brutus kills him, and the Senate kills him. All the Senate killed him. And there has to be, well, wait a minute, he's getting too powerful. We need to kill him. Well, wait a minute, that's not the answer. You guys had your chance, and you fucked up, and that's why he had to take over. But he's doing it to fix everything that you fucked up because you didn't do anything. There was no food. There was no sanitation. There was no medicine. People were dying and starving, and you're not doing anything. So he left you in charge, and if you would have done your job, he wouldn't have needed to be a dictator. So there's got to be a way of figuring out who the you get a Marcus Aurelius is great, but he's only there. He served 11 years, I believe. This is the problem. You have to get a system in place where you hire good people based on good things. Like for me, I worked at GM and Ford, Mercedes, and I've done high-level senior financial analyst work, but I'm also a Austrian economist, and I can analyze the shit out of football. So you got a pretty good mind there. That's what you should be looking for. I'm amazed when I get an interview and I don't get the job. I laugh. I go, what the fuck are you doing? I think what I'm starting to notice, and my intuition's very strong, as you know, they're afraid of me. Because I'll do great with the VP, and then I interview with the hiring manager. I do great with the hiring manager. He's scared of me because I got a master's and I've done all this. He thinks I'm after his job, which I'm not. I'm there to try to make the company better, but I'm really there to buy gold. I work now to buy gold because I know that's the answer to the riddle. What do you do? What do I do with my 401k? You buy gold and silver. So I think sometimes when people don't listen to me, I don't understand it, like the guy with his 401k. Now I think he's listening to these Bitcoiners because he made a comment Well, how can I take all my silver on a plane? And I know that's the Bitcoin answer. How do you take $100,000 worth of gold on a plane? Well, let's just wait about a year or two, and gold will be 50,000 an ounce. And here's $100,000 worth of gold. Yeah, not too hard to take on the plane, right? Because the value keeps going up and the dollar keeps going down. Um, well, why would I take $100,000 on a plane unless it's 50,000 an ounce? I don't vacation with it. I gave it to Jenna when I meet Daria, I'll give her some, but I'm not going to spend it and cash it. I can go to my gold store right here and cash it, but I don't want dollars. That's why when they say profit taking, there's no profit taking in gold. Nobody is stupid enough to sell their gold to get back into fiat if they understand they're in gold to get out of fiat. Nobody profit takes gold. I'm not. I got it at 17, 1800. I got this at 250 an ounce. I got it, and I am not about to get back into fiat. So because it hit 2,900 or 2,860, I'm not selling. I didn't make profit on it. That's not the idea. That's a stock because because you're dependent on sales. I'm not dependent on sales with gold. I'm dependent on the U.S. government printing this to zero, and they do a good job of doing it because they hire people that they shouldn't be hiring, that they're all corrupt, and they're doing things that they don't know what they're doing. All the Keynesians are running the finance, and they think they can just keep printing it, but we understand you have bad leaders and you have bad people they hire. And let's face it, the Senate and the Congress, and they do all these hearings to get these guys in. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know, you're going to uphold the law. They don't have a clue. They don't know if they're good, bad, or ugly. These Senate confirmations are another joke. Why don't they do that for the president? Why don't they have confirmations for the president? Hey, Biden, yeah, you're an idiot. I'm not going to confirm you as president. This is the problem. The biggest office gets a vote on by nobody. Half the people are dead. It's all corrupt. He takes these payoffs. He owns all these $1 million houses. Dude, you didn't make $1 million a year ever in your life. How do you have 8, 9, 10 houses that are worth $1 million? We're all a bunch of fucking idiots. Come on. This is the problem. Pat, silver will be 1,000 because I already read that. Well, no, it'll be 1,000 because of the dollar collapsing. And it's not industry. Again, it only gets to 1,000 when we break COMEX. Then we get a free market pricing, and then the physical price will make it 1,000. So we don't get it until we break up COMEX, which is happening now. You can see with gold, and then silver will be not far behind. It is real money. That's why it'll go to 1,000. But as long as COMEX keeps doing these derivatives, it ain't going anywhere. So, yes, it is very highly demanded. It is very low in supply. And there's $25,000 4-year backlog. It won't move the price until we stop with these stupid derivatives by JP Morgan and, let's say, Goldman Sachs. After watching the Goldman Sachs thing, I go, yeah, they're in on it too. So you need a good system to get a good government. You need people. You need a good leader. You need a Julius Caesar. That's what you need. You don't need Caligula, or you don't need what was Marcus Aurelius's son, Commodus. Those are bad leaders. Commodus, bad leader. Julius Caesar, great leader. Caligula, bad leader. And there's a lot of other, Nero, bad leader. That's the problem. But how do you get these guys to run your company is the problem. The guy running Tenneco is Apollo Capital, so they're just there to sell it. They shouldn't be running it. They bought it, but they're not capable of running it. Well, we're going to take ignition out of powertrain so we can sell it. That's like I'm going to take the engine out of your car so I can sell it. And I'm going to sell the 4 tires. So I bought the car to sell the tires and the steering wheel and the brakes and the ignition and all that. So that's why I bought the car, was to sell it. Well, no, you buy the car because if you sell the car, but you buy the car to drive. So he bought the company not to make the company better. He bought the company to break it out and sell it. That's not good leadership. That's why a lot of people were let go there, and a lot of people who are there hate it because they don't like the direction it's going to. And I say to them, get the fuck out. Go find a new job. But we got this recession and depression that's really causing issues, and that's the problem. When you let a guy like me go, you've got to be clueless, right? I could do the work of probably 5 people, right? Very, very creative, very, very strong understanding of financing. They had me doing some receivables and a cash flow that I didn't even do. I just put together. And you're like, this is what you're using me for? Like, I just laugh. I'm like, okay, I'm off to the gold store every Thursday. Anyway, that's what's happening. So you need good leaders, and you need a way, like on a football team, you're still in trouble if you have the president, you have Jerry Jones running it. What's his skill set to hire a good GM? Oh, he'll be the GM. Okay. He's going to hire the coach. He has no skill set in hiring the coach. He hired another idiot coach. Another guy that's never won a war. He's not a general. Where's this guy? Well, he was the offensive coordinator. Can he coach? So that's like taking a guy in the army and making him general. Can he be a general? Has he been? Has he won wars? Is he a good general? And then of that, you then, let's take Marcus Aurelius, or let's take Julius Caesar. And Julius Caesar won war. He's a smart guy. He cares. He's a good leader. Yeah, we probably need to make him in charge. And everything worked very, very well with Julius Caesar. The Senate kills him, and then what happens? It's all fucked up. Nobody trusts the Senate. Everybody loved Caesar and wanted him in charge. And when you killed him, they didn't want the killer. So that's when it turned into an empire, because then you had an emperor, a republic as a president, and that. We are a republic in the U.S., but we are run like an emperor, where Trump is the emperor and Biden was the emperor, or Obama was the emperor. They're not supposed to be the king. They're not the king or a dictator. They're supposed to be part of the government, trying to help the people. But that's not what we have. We have all these corrupt politicians who take the payoffs from the lobbyists. They help the lobbyists, but they don't help the people. That's why the government's broken. So you need a Julius Caesar to come in to fix it and say, okay, lobbyists gone. The role of the president is to help the country. When he stops doing that, check, check, check. If he doesn't do that, he's gone. And same thing with the senators and governor. They have to be qualified. What are your qualifications to be the governor of Michigan? Well, I'm a Keynesian, and I think in government spending, and I know it never works. And I believe in getting mafia payoffs and getting the drug companies to give me money, and all the I keep getting what is it, the lobbyists. Well, I believe in that. Did you believe in lobbyists? Yes, I do. Okay, goodbye. So somebody needs to kill the lobbyists, because then they make it corrupt. And once you have corruption, you don't have a government. It's not the government you want. That's not the point of the government. We got to go back to 1777 or 1776. We will, where the government is there by the people, for the people. You're there one term, goodbye. This is not a career. You're representing the people, which you're not. You're representing yourself. You're taking lobbyist payouts, and you're corrupt as shit. And we need to get that out. You're taking insider trading to make money on stocks. Is that why you're in government? Really? But it shouldn't be an Elon Musk who's not in the government to help run the government. No, he's outside. You go run your little company. So what you're telling me is you're not needed to run your company because you're sitting here trying to do this bullshit you're doing, which will never work. Okay, you found fraud. Okay, until you figure out all this, Rite Aid or whatever it was, until you figure out what it is and where did it come from, there's always going to be corrupt politicians. So you can stop it today. It'll just be there tomorrow. The whole Ukraine war thing, the whole defense contractors, until you get to the bottom of that, it doesn't really matter. So it's a quick fix. And then, oh, you're diabetic, you're eating chocolate cake. Okay, stop eating chocolate cake. Oh, now I'm eating chocolate ice cream. Well, until you get to the bottom of you can't eat the cake and the ice cream, you got to stay away from high fructose corn syrup. Until you figure that out, that's how you get healthy, is what's the cause. And, oh, it's the corn syrup, it's the sugar, it's the carbs. I got to take all that out. Then I'm okay. Until you figure that out, you can cut out cake, but then you're eating cookies, or then you're eating ice cream, or you're eating bread. So you haven't figured out the problem, and that's the government. You might find this with this USA aid or whatever the hell it is, and it might be fine, but until you get to the bottom of it, it's not going to go away. You're not going to get the money back. They've already done the bribes. It's already very corrupt. You're not getting the money back. So it's not like, oh, we found $1 trillion. And you're kind of doing it the wrong way. You should just, if it was me, I would just say, okay, starting today, any payment goes through me or my department, and I better hire a Julius Caesar who I can trust. And you're not spending a nickel. From now on, there's no budget. It's me. There's one budget, and I approve it. That's it. And that's how, and I would say, let's see, what's our income? Oh, we're going to do tariffs instead of income tax. Good idea. But we're going to cut all the budgets. So there you go. Everything's gone except for we'll have legal, we'll have some military, we'll have gold. We will not have a JP Morgan running the printing press and having a monopoly on the money. And where is that? Why aren't they going after that? Why isn't Trump saying, this monopoly of printing money probably needs to go away? And the banks being able to print the money probably needs to go away. But it's so corrupt, it never will, which is, so you'll never get rid of the problem because you're not addressing it and then you're not tackling it. That's why you need somebody for one term who understands what the fuck's going on and can fix it. And it ain't Trump. It's certainly not Elon Musk. And then you have problems with George Soros and JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs interfering, printing the money, paying off all these people, keeping the corruption going so they don't have to go to jail for their Ponzi schemes and everything else. And that's the problem. So until you fix that, you're not fixing anything. I don't know what Elon Musk, oh, look at it, we found this. You haven't found shit. The money's already spent and you're not going to stop it. And where did it come from? Where is the source? Cut the source. So if it's me, I'm going to go, how many departments do I have? Okay, it's all blown up. You have, all right, I'm going to approve $1 billion for the government. That's all we need. And you come to me for your check. What's the purpose of the check? And if it's not a good purpose, you don't get it. And that's it. Sorry, we don't need you. Goodbye. I wouldn't even fire him. That would be it. It would be like, it's like, oh, you have this subscription that you didn't know you had and you just cancel it. So what do I need? I need utilities. I got to pay rent. I got to pay food. I need gas for the car and I need car insurance. Everything else I don't need. I need my pool. Okay. So you just cut everything out. That's all I can afford. That's all I need. And all my money I go and put into gold and silver. Why isn't the government? Why are they running deficits? Why don't they have any gold or silver? Who's in charge that knows what they're doing that should be buying gold and silver and at least seeing, you know what, right? Russia, China, India, all the BRICS countries are buying gold and silver. Why aren't we? Why are they and why aren't we? Oh, because we're printing our dollar to death. How come nobody understands that in the government? Who is your fucking people in government that they don't understand Austrian economics? You don't hire one guy and who understands Austrian economics? Are you fucking kidding me? What is that? I can't even understand. I can't even fathom that. Well, Keynesians did so well in the 1930s that we had a depression for 15 years with John the Anvil Maynard Keynes as your finance guy. How did that work out? Yeah, it got us into a war. It was a depression. It was a mess, and that's the problem. And you kept electing FDR. Why? Why did you? What did he do? Oh, he did the dam in Vegas. He made highway, government spending, and he put you to work as a government, digging ditches. What the fuck? Did productivity go up? No. Oh yeah, and then the people, J.P. Morgan sold arms to both sides in World War I and World War II. So who's running the government is the banks, and they do what's good for the banks. How did we let that happen? In ancient Rome, do you think the bankers ran? Now, they did run the Senate because they were the rich people. So the way it worked was the Senate was rich people, and then the general usually was Julius Caesar was a general, and these other Marcus Aurelius, just who was Stoic. So that was it. That's what I don't get. How communists wouldn't be Stoic if Marcus Aurelius was, but communist was an idiot and never had shouldn't have been in charge. But again, Marcus Aurelius said, I want communists to run everything, and that's what happened. Um, it seems like whoever's in power doesn't last long. Um, they last a little bit of time, and then they get murdered or something like that, or they get sick. Marcus Aurelius died getting sick. Caesar was sick, and then they murdered him because he wanted to be a dictator because he couldn't trust the Senate because they're a bunch of fucking idiots. The Senate nobody wanted; they got gone, and then you have these other people as ruling who don't know what they're doing, and they therefore they shouldn't be running anything. So again, it's bad policy to have people unqualified doing it. That'd be like me running a law firm. I don't know anything about law, or being a doctor. I don't know anything. Well, I would have everybody on cayenne pepper, and Celtic salt. That would be my. Everybody would be on that. But that's it. You got to be qualified. Ford did that. I go to work for Ford, and they got me doing a cost estimating manager. I had no idea. I know what a cost is. I didn't know how to cost estimate. I wasn't an engineer, and I'm doing this. And they made me take an engineering test, and I almost left. I said, I don't know anything about engineering, but I think the whole point of the test was, would you stay? And so I stayed, tried to complete the test, and that's how I passed. Not that I got any answers right, that I stayed and showed, I don't know, whatever they were looking for. But again, why I got a master's in finance? Why do you have me doing cost estimating? I don't know it. You didn't train me. I have no fucking idea what it is or how to do it. But my function was to go into meetings and report back to the cost estimator. So again, why didn't you just hire somebody who had 5 years as a cost estimator to be the cost estimating manager? Anyway, so that's what you have. You basically have people that aren't qualified, that aren't doing a lot of things. But when it's for the government, it's really magnified. The money is gone. So anybody that thinks this money is worth anything, I'd like to know is, why do you think this is worth something? Why do you think I've ripped it and folded it and basically it's worth 1 cent? Why do you think I did that? I just like ripping up my money. What the fuck are you thinking? So this is a problem. People with 401ks, don't realize it's worth 500,000. Why would I get out of it and buy gold with it? What if the dollar doesn't drop? What if gold goes to zero? What? Oh, well, you don't have a fucking clue what you're doing. So when the guy yesterday says, "Well, you know, so I should just sell my 401k and buy gold," I said, "Basically, and you basically better do it now because you're not going to find gold. Gold's already up to 29. It's going to cost you $3,000 to go to my store and buy gold." He was 29.72 yesterday or something like that. So basically 3,000 to buy an ounce of gold. Is this what you want to do? And it's only going, you can see it's going up $20, $30 a day. Goes from 27 to 28. It's not going down, it's going up because of demand. That's how a market works, which I doubt you even understand that. So you've stumbled into this money that you've put into a 401k. So the guy who puts you in the 401k, you go, "Oh, this is great. I'm in a 401k. Isn't he a smart guy? I made all this money, so I'm going to trust him." But he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's there for your commission. The stocks have been going up because the government's been printing money, putting it in the stock market, raising it to make the economy look good when it sucks. And this is the problem. So the guy made you money, so you trust him. And that's your first mistake. Ask him about gold. If you don't ask him, that's your second mistake. If you ask him and he says, "Well, gold and silver don't move," and you don't fire him, that's your third mistake. So you're responsible for going broke. You're responsible for the 2008 when the crash happened. You lost all your money. That was your fault. You know how much money I lost? Zero. I was out on dry land. I didn't lose a penny in 2000. I didn't lose a penny in 2008. Some guy asked me, "How much did you lose in 2000? I didn't lose anything. I'm smart enough not to play stocks because it's all fake. It's like Bitcoin. I'm smart enough to not play the game because it's not real. You're only going to lose in it. So why would you want to play it?" So with that said, you got to have good leaders. So in your life, you have to have sound people that you're going to listen to because you don't know everything. Now, you can either find people like me and learn, and then you'll know, and then you can answer your own questions, which is what I'm trying to do. You can take my word for it, but I'd rather explain it to you so you go, "Yeah, that's what the professor said. I understand that." And so therefore, I am going to uh, do that and go from there. I'm going to take his ideas that make sense, that yes, that's good, and then I'm going to uh, follow him. I'll get out of the 401k and stocks, get out of the bank, and buy gold and silver. And he does it. So if the professor buys gold and silver, probably a good idea that I follow what he's doing. Well, my financial planner tells me to stay in the stocks or buy real estate trust because they want to see, now they're in it for themselves. They want commission. I don't want commission. I don't want anything from you. I want you to be protected. Simple as that. So I'm telling you the way out of the maze, and they're keeping you in the maze. Oh no, stay in paper, stay in the stock market, get an annuity, get a real estate trust. You know how real estate's so good. Real estate's losing its ass. There's a point in time real estate's good, but as it goes up and it gets Ponzi'd, then real estate at that point doesn't have value. At this point, it's going down. It's not a good time to get into real estate. The banks, it's not a good time to be in the banks because of all the defaults. And then the stock market is 44,000 is a joke. It's not a good time to get into the stock market because it's going down, not up. And as soon as the bad news starts hitting, it's all the foreigners. So understand it. It's the foreigners. It's the Germans. It's the French, Italians, Chinese, Japanese, UK people. Those are you guys, the Swiss, who are in our stock market for safe haven and our banks for safe haven. For some reason, they think the dollar is safe, which laughed my ass off on that one. The dollar's not safe. Why would you think the dollar's safe? Oh, because you're listening to the bullshit on your side of the board of the ocean. And so you're basically dealing with a bunch of crap that doesn't you don't understand. And then it becomes I'm scared to get out of my 401k because I got 500 grand and I'd hate to lose it. Without understanding is if you don't do anything, you just lost it. Oh, and then you can come back at me and say, well, that's not going to happen. So they printed $160 trillion and you think it's going to keep value. You go to the grocery store and you see Coca-Cola for $3 and you think, what? It's not the dollar's not the dollar's losing value. You can see it in your own eyes, but you don't understand what's going on. Well, Coke just raised their price, as did Oreos, as did Cheerios, as did broccoli and cauliflower. All these things raised their price at the same time. Oh, yeah, I guess it's not that. Unbelievable. So a lot of that is what's happening, and but you don't know it. So you think your 500,000 in your 401k is good, and you don't want to pay tax. Well, you're going to have to pay tax anyway, but you don't have to pay the 10% penalty if you wait. But if you wait too long, it won't have a value, and that's what I'm saying. But you won't believe me, and that is the thesis of the story is how do I get you to believe me that that's what's going to happen? And so I try to bring in examples of Rome and Italy and Germany and where all these countries went out. Why did the Roman Empire fail as strong as they were? Because you had bad leaders, Caligula, and then you had Nero, and he burnt the fucking city down. And then he put up marble instead. Well, where did he get the money? Oh, well, they debased the gold and silver. Why do these people think debasing you debase the dollar when you inflate the dollar? Inflation is not prices, it's inflating the supply of money. Debasement is taking the gold and silver out of the coins. Why is it that Alligator and Mark McGuire and everybody cannot understand you don't debase the dollar, you inflate the dollar? Inflation is not prices. Why is it so difficult for these guys who try to appear intelligent, have their heads so far up their ass they don't know what they're talking about? Why is that? Why don't they understand that? It's such a simple concept. I get it. That's how I was taught. You debase the coins, you take the gold and silver out. You don't debase dollars because there's no gold and silver in it. And you're not taking anything out of the dollar. The dollar you're printing to death. That's the inflation. It's not that hard. So the Romans debased their currency. They went bankrupt. What is it that's so hard to understand? They were the Romans. They had 80% of the earth was theirs. They had all these people. They went all through Europe and Asia and Africa was all Roman Empire. At what point they inflated their money to death, do you not understand? If you live there, I could see you going, oh, that can't happen to us. We're the Romans. And this is why I bring it up. It's exactly what happened. They took their money out and they had no money. Now let's take it to the ninth degree. How did Rome work? Well, they had armies. They needed armies to protect. Okay. How did armies work? They paid the armies in gold. So if you're a military man and you're working in the army, you're getting paid gold to fight. Very simple thing. If you didn't pay them, they wouldn't fight. And otherwise, they fought for gold. You paid them in gold. When you debased the gold out of the currency, you lost your army. And that's when the Ottomans and the Turks came in and took Rome because they had the gold and they were able to pay their armies in gold. You needed money to pay your armies. So once you fucked up that and you took all the money out, the army wasn't, yeah, I'm going to die for free. I mean, they took it and they fought in the battles because they got the gold. And that's why they fought. So if you took the money out, there goes your army. Very simple. Same thing here. If you don't pay your army in the U.S., you're gone. I mean, nobody's going to fight. Why would they? Now I hear with Trump, they're getting more soldiers because they like Trump. They'll fight for Trump. They weren't going to fight for Biden and um, all this bullshit that they were had to go through. But that's what happened in Rome. So why don't people connect the dots? Well, my 401k can't go under. They'll never allow it to go under. They don't have a choice in it. They're the ones printing the money to death. You think they're going to turn around? The only way they they can save anything is to go to gold. Now maybe Trump comes up with the gold standard, but he's all the gold he's getting in is to pay off the derivatives because that's you owe all these countries. They've taken delivery of your derivatives, of your options that you played on Comex, and they're here to take delivery. And that's what they're doing. And that's why gold's going up because you need to buy it to pay off the people taking your delivery. That's what it's about. So until you go, the only way out is to go gold back currency. And yet all the Keynesians think we'll just keep printing more. We'll be okay. We'll print more. And then the problem is the guy with the 401ks think I'm fine. Well, you're not fine because if they keep printing money, guess what? You're not fine. It doesn't have a value. And you can see it in the grocery stores now. You can see everything's more expensive because the value of the dollar dropped, but you can't put two and two to equal four. You don't understand. Every company is raising their prices at the same time. Or maybe the dollar's losing value. No, it can't be the dollar losing value because I don't understand why the dollar loses value. But my 401k is worth 500 grand. No, it isn't. Well, it might still say 500 grand, but what will 500 grand buy you? A Kit Kat and an M&Ms. That's what 500k is going to buy you. That's the problem. Gold will keep up and go up in value because gold can't be printed. They're printing the shit out of the dollar. What do you think when they go pay the debt? When's that coming up? In March, they got to pay $1 trillion or a little bit more for the debt. So that's why they want to lower interest rates so they don't have to pay $1 trillion on the debt. But then it fucks the economy and makes the inflation go even faster. So again, inflation is printing the money. Period. That's it. End of story. Then it takes more dollars to buy the Kit Kats and the Cheerios because the dollar's not worth as much. So you need more dollars to buy it. That's exactly what's happening. Period. End of story. So how you think your 401k that's worth 500 grand is not going to lose value, you're mentally ill. You have no idea. Bitcoin is not your answer because Bitcoin is not gold and it is not limited and it is not backed by anything. There's no difference between Bitcoin and this. If you think Bitcoin really is 21 million, you're out of your mind. And how is it any different than that? It's not backed by gold. So, and then there's PAC, but it's not, it's backed by gold, but it isn't. Oh, we store it for you in this London vault, which means you're fucked that way, just like an ETF. It's not real. You don't hold any gold and you think you're getting gold, you're not. That's why your only answer is to buy the physical and not buy an ETF and not ETFs or Ponzi schemes. We have 1 ounce of gold we're going to sell to 1 million people and they'll think they all have the ounce. And then when the shit hits the fan and 1 million people go, give me my ounce. Well, sorry, I don't have it. Because that was really my ounce. I'm keeping it. Sounds like Madoff, doesn't it? All the people wanted their money and he didn't have it. So they all got fucked. That's an ETF. That's why I call it a Madoff. So really, that's the story. You need to elect and have a better government system than you have. The idea is okay. They took it from the Romans where you elected a council. They're supposed to serve 1 term, 4 years, and then you go but they should be competent people taking the roles of the Senate and the governors and the House, and the laws should be fair and everything else. That's why you got to go with the Constitution. But when it's unconstitutional, you got to throw it out saying, no, you can't. You shouldn't have a central bank. You shouldn't have JP Morgan running it or printing the money. It's not supposed to be a monopoly. It's not supposed to be the government having a monopoly printing the money. Where are we getting that from? It's not in the Constitution. Why are we doing it? Why is JP Morgan in charge of anything? What are we, fucking idiots? Yeah, let's let JP Morgan, look what he's doing so far. He's only scammed all these people out of all this money in 2000, 2008. Yeah, let's keep him around because he's good for scamming people. I mean, because he takes care of the people in power, and that's really the problem. So be careful with that. It's all bullshit. We need a better system where it's you're hired for your merit, and if you don't work out, you're gone. Just like a head coach, they just go fire them because, oh, at the end of the day, you won 3 games, you're fired. And you see 8, 9 coaches every year fired because they're idiots. Why did you hire them in the first place? Your hiring process sucks. You don't know what you're doing. Get the fuck out of the hiring process, basically. So you got to have a good process to pick government people. And I think I would ask them, should there be a central bank? And if their answer is yes, you don't pass, you're not in the government. The people that say no, I'll get rid of it, are the people you want. And that's how I think that would be one major question I would ask. Should there be fiat money or gold backed money? And if they don't say gold, they don't pass because it's in the Constitution. Only gold and silver should be money. So why don't you have any gold? Well, because you're idiots. You don't pass, you're out. And anybody who's in there now should not be a lifetime thing. It's one term. You need to make it one term. And you're there to help the people. And as soon as you stop helping, you're out. Death by hanging. And that's really the problem. So that's how you fix it. So anyway, it's a good leader is what adds value. I add value. That's why I'm a good worker, football, Austrian economics. I'm adding value to you. I'm helping you. I'm teaching you. That's what you need. That's what everybody needs. But everybody should want to learn. So when I run into what do I do with my 401k, I look at the person. Do you not trust me, or are you just too fucking stupid to listen? This is the problem I have with 401k people. Because if you're not listening to me, then you're too stupid to have a 401k. Well, it might go. It's going to zero. That's a fact. You're going to lose. Okay, maybe you lose 95% of it. That's a fact. Are you then going to get out of it so you don't have to pay taxes and the penalties? Is that what you need to do? Or at least stop it, and then the new money coming in can go in and buy gold and silver. I mean, you don't need much gold and silver. Get about 50 ounces, 100 ounces, and get 1,000 ounces of silver, and you're okay. But your goal has got to be to get out of paper. When you're still in paper, you're fucked. That's like betting on the Jared Goff. Keep betting on him. Yeah, you see how much money he loses you. Or bet on Lamar to win a playoff game. Good luck. Or bet against Mahomes, even better. Good luck. I mean, you can't, if you don't understand it, you shouldn't be doing it. And I think that's the problem. So I think that was it. I think I had something else in the title, but I don't remember. Anyway, we talked Rome versus the U.S. So it's basically what I was saying was the Senate and the dictator and the empire and the republic, and both got corrupt and both fell. We're in the process of falling. Rome did fall. They took all the gold and silver out of the currency. They killed Caesar, and then it became an empire, and empires don't work. Kings and queens don't work. Dictators obviously don't work. Power corrupts, so you got to have a balance of power, which is the idea of the Republic of Rome. Caesar should not have taken it. He should not have gone dictator, but they needed to fix the Senate because they were not doing their job. He was gone for a few years and it fell apart. That's not balancing the power, but that's the idea: is you balance power. But sometimes you need some guy clever to make the decisions. But he won't be power hungry, so it's a balance. Anyway, Kansas City 30-27. My judgment, close game, high scoring game, should be a good game. Normally, I would take Philly under, but with Mahomes, he'll find a way to score. Um, Philly scored. Washington scored 23 on them. The Rams scored 22 on them. So the Philly defense is good. It ain't that good. It's hard to really shut out teams in the pros. College, the Georgia team could do it. Um, some teams like that, but basically, it's hard to just stone the other team. As good as Notre Dame's defense is, Ohio State still scored. Anyway, I think I'm off to the pool. I'm gonna have some lunch. I think Chinese sounds good today. www.teaserking.com. You want to email me? Get your gold and silver. Again, gold is 28.63, and it should go up to 3,000 very soon, and then 3,500, and then I think they need 5,000. But once we blow up COMEX, it's going to really go up. Right now, COMEX manipulates it, and it's still 28.60. So wait, that's silver's problem. It's manipulated. Just buy as much silver at this price as you can. It's a joke. And then when it hits 100 an ounce, you're going to go, oh fuck, I should have bought it at 30. Still give it 1,000, and people don't believe me, but they think that this is free market pricing, which is not. There's too much demand for silver to not raise the price up to 1,000 or 2,000 an ounce. And when the panic starts hitting because everybody realizes their money's worthless, then really look out. 2,000 will be a distant number. It'll be much more. But see, people can't wrap their hands around it because, well, the all-time high is 50. The all-time paper fixed price is 50. That's not a good price. That's a fixed price. So until you understand it's fixed, then you don't get it. Anyway, have a good day and good luck. Enjoy. And I gotta go read up on platinum for Pat. All right, everybody. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. Enjoy, stay healthy, eat your Celtic salt, and go relax. All right. Take care, everybody.